All right. Hello, Brittany. How are you today?
Hello, Elena. I am blessed and amazing. How are you?
I am great. Wow, that's you know what? Like I was gonna say, I think this is one of the first things that I think is really important that I was just thinking about is about how you speak over yourself. And I think that that's a big
Absolutely.
thing that we're probably going to talk about today, isn't it? Because I think that's a big thing I see a lot in spirituality
Yes,
is what
yes,
words do you speak over yourself?
yes, absolutely. You know what, Elena? I just think it's Elena
Mm,
aligned. I
mm,
feel like it's your energy is so aligning. That is something that I literally profess and affirm over myself as I go out into the world every day. I'm
mm,
like, I only want to speak pure thoughts. I want to speak empowering thoughts. I want to speak life and not death. I want to
mm,
speak just abundance and all things positive over myself and those around me.
mm-hmm.
It's like of course you can't pretend the negativity doesn't exist, but you just make a choice to not give it any energy. And once you affirm that, and then you speak those high vibrational things over yourself, it's just like you're setting yourself up to win.
Yeah.
It's impossible to lose when you are speaking that mindset and speaking basically what your mindset is. So
Mm.
I'm so happy that, like you said, that's exactly where the conversation is probably going to go, because that is something that I am doing in my personal life as we speak. And it is transforming.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, so like, go ahead and introduce yourself for folks.
Okay.
Who are you? What do you do? Like, what brings you here
Absolutely.
today? What?
Okay.
Yeah. I
I'm
guess
excited.
take
So
the
it's
floor.
right. Believe it or not, I don't get too much of an opportunity to speak about this particular part of my life, and it is so
Mm.
sacred, and it is so special, and it is so just beyond important to me.
Mm.
I am Brittany J, real Brittany J on Twitter, Jungle Goddess on Instagram, Brittany Rideau, uh, born and
Mm.
raised in Chicago.
Okay.
I am the oldest of six siblings. So I am bossy by nature and by responsibility. But I would call it assertive. So
I was
I,
gonna
I
say
am,
embodying that Leo energy.
yes,
That Leo Sun and
definitely,
Venus, like leader of the
definitely,
pack. Like
yes.
yeah.
And you know what? It's crazy because I love astrology. That was always something that I was into as a child, and
Mm-hmm.
it grew into something that just became more than a passion. Became
Mm.
a, it became a, it became tool, a
Mm.
tool that is being currently used to just improve the quality of my life and others.
Mm.
JP Morgan says that millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires use astrology.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a total elevation of quality of life when you're able to utilize the tool of astrology through
Mm.
the belief of spirituality, through, they have all different names and practices and things like that. And I am a little bit of everything. I like to take and I like to use things that just like speak to my spirit. I'm just very big
Right.
on energy. I'm very big on, I'm a psychic and
Okay.
prophetess.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in the church, but throughout just a lot of knowledge and a lot of interactions and relationships, I have separated from the religious sector and I
Mm-hmm.
am just independently out here believing and spreading knowledge and
Mm.
just overall overall committed to helping everyone be the best versions of themselves, and not in that generic way that people say the best version, like the physical just follows the inside.
Mm.
So that beauty from within, like how Elena speaks of the Leo energy that you
Mm-hmm.
feel from watching us both right now, that is just comes from within, and
Mm-hmm.
that is just something that I know is my life purpose. And I just know that any situation that I'm brought into, I am brought there to be a blessing and to uh, just give a blessing, be a blessing, all of that. And
Mm.
I don't take it lightly. And I am so humbled and so blessed
Mm.
and so thankful, Elena, for the opportunity.
Yes.
We did not know each other prior to this. We just had a conversation, and it was
Yeah, and you just
discernment.
reached out, which I
Yeah,
was like, you know what? I appreciate that. Like you didn't know me
yeah,
from Adam, but you were
yeah,
like, you know what? I have a pitch. Like let me
yeah,
see, and I was like, yeah,
definitely.
like cool.
Definitely. It was just like it was simple, and it was, and I am a believer in like the simplest forms are the most sophisticated. And it was just like,
Yes.
hey, I'm looking to have conversations, and I'm like, yo, that's what I do. However,
Mm.
I have been on a hiatus.
Okay.
If you are aware in the spiritual aspects of Earth and
Mm-hmm.
humanity, you are well aware that right now we are going through we are in knee deep in a spiritual war where
Mm.
all of our spirits are currently being literally fought for, as far as what will you produce, what will you
Mm-hmm.
be, where will you be. And so I just know that I was one of the warriors that has been sent, and I don't take it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's been a hiatus just because of how things flow. And
Yeah.
there comes a point in time where we don't need to speak anymore, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
universe and the creator and all things that are good are going to do what they do,
Yes.
which is win. And I am on the winning team. So that is me. I
Yes.
thank you.
Like wow, like that's just I mean, you really like that all of that is a word.
Yeah,
Like it
thank you.
truly is. Like I
Thank
really
you.
feel like, I don't know what denomination you grew up as, but like,
Hmm.
I grew up in multiple different kinds of churches, but
Yes.
like I feel that like, and I think one of the things that like and this is me just kind of spitballing, take it or
Hmm.
leave it. I don't know how much this resonates with you, but like
Yeah.
I feel like some of the most devoted kids in church end up being the ones who leave, and
You're
then because you
absolutely
have
correct.
that passion
You're absolutely
you
correct.
have that passion for the divine,
Yes.
and that's the channel that you're originally given,
Yes.
but then you grow up and you figure out, what, that's not in alignment with
Yeah.
me. Like it's
Exactly,
not that I'm
Elena.
not faithful, just not to this faith.
Yeah, yeah, that resonated with me completely. Like literally, I mean, when we say devoted, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whenever we're told to memorize something, we're like, okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there's an event, we're like, okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
Whenever there's praise and worship, we're genuinely, participating. And
Yeah.
like you said, that devotion sometimes is met with just a lot of sometimes ignorance, a
Mm.
lot of sometimes lack, a
Yeah.
lot of just not that receptivity that it should get, right? And like
Yeah.
you said, it causes us to, break away. And I always joke, and I'm like, my longest relationship was with my church, right? And I'm
Yeah,
like, that was
right?
like 22 years, and it took me some time. It took me some
Yeah.
time, like, and even, I even thought I wanted to join other churches. Like, no, 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 it's just that church. And then it was like, no, like it's your time to break away. Like you
Yeah.
have the foundation that you need to go
Right.
and do the work that you need to do. And that's all. Like you said, it's like I'm connected to the divine. So like you
Mm-hmm.
said, is denomination free. Like
Yeah.
you said, I grew up in AME and Baptist,
Okay.
but I if this Holy Spirit is there, I resonate.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right. Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's
because
how I
that's
feel.
one of the things about like the church is it's like, when people are really worshiping, like this is one of the things that I think people do get kind of mixed up sometimes about Christianity is it's like you may or may not agree with it, you may or may not believe in Jesus and the devil and all of that, but whether or not you believe in it, those spirits are real, and when they're invoked there is a
Exactly.
real power, like even if you
Exactly.
don't believe in it, like and I
Exactly.
believe the same thing about anybody else's deities is it's like
Right.
if they're
Right.
getting invoked, if the spirit is whipped up in those people, like they're there, like
Absolutely. It's like you said, it's you may not believe, but it's the belief of all the other people that
mm,
believe that make this real and make this something that has to be dealt with, something that
right,
is experienced. And
yeah,
it's just amazing. I always say that. I'm like, I don't have any issue with atheists. I love atheists the way that I should, because
mm-hmm,
it's one of those things where it's the human mind, right? It's
yeah,
like some people haven't let go of control so much that they can't answer certain things, right?
mm-hmm,
Or it's just a myriad of things. But
yeah,
I am a firm believer in just because you don't believe in something doesn't make it not real. And
right,
God doesn't need us to believe to be what it is, who it is, whatever it is, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I
Like
am.
our belief is just one part of it. They don't need us necessarily. And I think that that's one of the things that people really have to deal with like you talk about being humble is about like they don't need you. Like you
Yeah.
need them, but they
Yeah,
appreciate you,
exactly. They
you know.
appreciate you. They grant you grace. They grant you like all of those spirits that
Mhm.
have to experience separate from this human life. And I'm just so
Yeah.
happy we went there because,
Mhm.
ancestral praise
Yes.
and that recognition is so huge
Yes.
in the core of spirituality. It is so huge
Yes.
because you are not alone. You are completely
Oh,
guided and
I'm getting like choked up just hearing you
yeah,
talking about this like
yeah, definitely. Just because I even now, like, not trying to freak you out or anything, but
yeah.
like you were saying about your familiars, like you're completely covered. Like I see it, and so
Mm.
it's just beautiful when those things are able to manifest, and you're like, oh my god, that's real.
Yeah, and it's just real. It's really real.
Yeah,
Like, and I think this is one of the things about like I think this is maybe like Leo energy is that like embodiment of
yeah,
divinity and like
yeah,
literally feeling it in your body.
yeah,
Like this is like
yeah.
Leo stuff is like that getting like mounted by the spirit kind of energy.
Literally, literally,
Honestly, like
literally.
yeah,
Yes, like
and so it's feeling that in your body.
yes, it's like the lion, which is, the symbol for like the Leo.
Mhm.
And it is just symbolic for that, like you said, that divinity in so
Mm.
many stories and so many aspects and so many
Yes.
religions. And so it is absolutely what Elena just said. And it is that extra divine covering, that
Mm.
extra divine wisdom that
Yeah.
you're granted without even having to seek it out and things like that.
Yes,
And
yeah,
it's
it's
just,
just yours. It's there
yes,
for you.
it's just
Like you
there for
don't
you.
have to ask for it, you don't have to beg for it, you don't have to buy
Yes,
it. It's yours. That gift
yes,
was there and it's for
yes,
you.
and it's
Like
for
happy
you.
birthday.
Literally, happy birthday forever. for the
Yeah.
rest of your life. Happy birthday, because it's what a gift. What a gift to be so in tune. Like that's what I always talk about when I bring up that I have these gifts, which I know came from DNA. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, the divine chose me and
Yeah.
made me fit, like qualified me because I was disqualified, but I was called to and made qualified. And
Mm,
I know that it just came from, that DNA. It did not come from just like nowhere. All of that is
mm-hmm.
carried, like as well. Like how we hear a lot about the negative being carried, but we don't hear a lot about the positive being carried. Like, I know I got this gift from a place where maybe they weren't so proud, or maybe
Mm.
they didn't know
Yes.
exactly what to do with it. It's like they're all down different centuries. People, women, especially with these
Mm.
gifts, have been
Yeah.
treated all different types of ways that are less than stellar. So it's hard to admit when you believe in something that goes against the norm. It's hard to admit when you're different from a lot of other people, but it's so beautiful when you are open and authentic.
Yeah. Like it's, you have to. I mean, I really think that, and I'm so glad that you brought up about about DNA, because I think that that's another thing that like I think about with a crossover with like astrology and spirituality is like,
Yes.
I think about looking at like astrological family patterns and
Yes.
like looking at things that are passed down. And so then it's like,
Yes.
how does that speak to spiritual gifts and spiritual tendencies being passed down through the family
Absolutely.
as well in that DNA?
Yes, absolutely. It's stronger than it's like DNA is the next strongest thing next to prayer. Like you got prayer and then you got DNA, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's something that is just like you can't fight, and you
Yeah.
just, man, it it carries from generation to generation. It
Mm-hmm.
is just beyond important to make sure that when we are passing it along, it is of the highest vibration, that it is
Mm.
of the highest quality. And they, when we say that, we mean like, hey, heal before you start those families, and not that generic heal, like that real
Yes.
healing that's gonna cause you
Yes.
to feel like you can't talk to your brother for 2 weeks. You're gonna feel like maybe my mom is super toxic, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to work through that. And when you get to the real healing will have you through a stage of forgiveness where you'll be looking at this mother, brother, father, sister, cousin, uncle, aunt, like, you know
Mm.
what? You had to be going through whatever you were going through to even invoke that type of trauma on someone you claim you love. So I forgive you.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
so
that's like,
yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Like,
It's
you
so
have that
true.
healing where you're like sweeping it under the rug type of healing, and then you have that
Mm-hmm.
real healing where
You
you're
got the real healing, like where you're
a
really
real
like,
healing
boy, I
where you're
know
sitting
exactly what
in
you're
it,
going through. Yeah, like what you're
right?
talking about, like the forgiveness, like the extending empathy to like your parents, like the process of reparenting and of taking
Yes,
care of your inner
yes.
child
Bingo,
is
bingo.
another level. Like,
Another level.
you
It
know,
was so funny. I'm just gonna like put this story out here, right? It was
yeah.
so funny. Because you know the if we're I like to reference myself as a butterfly, right?
Mm.
So the metamorphosis is real. It is
Mm-hmm.
dark in that cocoon,
Oh
and you
yeah.
cannot see. You cannot see. You're immobile. You're essentially just like still and growing. Like
Yeah.
life is happening all around you, but you're still and you're growing, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like that's something that I was experiencing maybe like over the last like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we came across a situation where, you're blessed with like six parents, right? Like
Yeah.
you have your parents and then you have your two sets of grandparents. And
Right.
so I was like, yo, granddad, I need some money.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, right? Because I'm like, I know he has it, but he told me no. right? And
Okay.
it's all about how you respond. It's all about how
Mm.
you respond, how you react, how you accept and move
Yeah.
on. And so I was like, okay, I really needed it, but you said no. There's nothing that I can do but move
Right. I
on.
just have to
I
respect that.
and that's it. And I know that I'll be provided for, which I was. And so
Yeah.
it's those type of situations where, and like it was like this past Father's Day, and I put some money in this card. And of
Mm.
course, moms are on it. Moms are like, he didn't give you that money that time that you asked. And I'm like, but I'm so much better. Like,
Yeah.
look, like, he's 80. Like, I'm like three generations down. Like, if I'm not better, then what's happening?
Yeah.
If I'm not
Yeah.
better, then what are we doing? Like, and I
Right.
refuse. So I'm like,
Yes.
no, I'm gonna be better. I'm like, I'm gonna get what I asked him for and more. Like, I'm essentially I'm essentially a gold mine. He's giving me top tier DNA. Thank you. Like I'm like, I appreciate it. Like I have a direct connection to the divine. I know who it,
Mm.
I just don't fault the small stuff, the petty stuff. So I felt right then and there that like that was myself growing because I was upset. I was
Yeah.
upset. Even though I
Right.
moved on, I was upset. But it was how I moved on and it was with grace.
Yes.
And it was just like, if we just remember to extend that grace. And,
Mm-hmm.
haters and miserable people will
Mm.
call you things like a pushover
Yeah.
or you forgive easily.
Mm.
But it's one of those things where it's like, if this is someone you love,
Yeah.
this is where you extend that grace. This is where you practice that forgiveness.
Mm. Yes.
Like that is literally the practice of loving. Like loving is not just sitting there loving them. Loving is, hey, we're gonna get into some situations that it's not gonna be easy to love you, but I'm like practicing, thank you, but I'm like
Yes.
practicing loving, and it doesn't always
Active
look good.
love. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
yes.
There's a shout out to the Hood Healer. There is a book called The Art of Love, or and by Bell Hooks. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a spiritual 101 for sure. Because
Mm.
if we don't have love, we are nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're starved. You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah,
mean, literally
yeah.
without love, like, you can have all the food in the world and everything, all the water and everything that you need, but without love, like,
Like that spiritual nourishment. Yes,
yes. Yeah, absolutely. Spiritual nourishment. That's such a good way to put it.
yes.
Absolutely.
Man, it's like so important. And that it's so important to feed your soul, whatever it
Mm.
is for you, right? Whatever
Yeah.
that is for you. It can be 5 minutes of you sitting in the grass in the sun and everyone's looking at you like you're crazy, but you just fed your soul. Like
Yeah.
they can't feed your soul. You have to feed your soul.
Also, what the hell? Like, I mean, what kind of world are we coming to, where you can't sit outside in the grass for 5 minutes without people looking at you funny? Like, this is what we're supposed to be able to do. Like,
This
I
is
want to
what
be able to
we're
sit
literally.
outside.
I want to be able to sit outside. I want to be barefoot outside. I don't want to have to
Yes.
worry about you and how you feel about me. But you know what I attest that to? The world
Hmm.
we have created is
Mm.
a nosy one. It is one that is not teaching people to mind their own business.
That's
And
so true.
I'm literally always like telling people, I'm like, yo, we're not making any sense when it comes to this gossip sector. Like this
Mm.
is the type of things that needs thousands of views. I right
Yeah.
now claim that we get thousands of views and that the positive message goes out because
Mm.
there are things like gossip sites and things that are going viral over negativity, and
Yes.
people are forgetting that you're feeding that negativity. That negativity can't go viral without your viral attention.
Thank you. Like, if you're quote tweeting somebody to dunk on them, you're still providing that engagement. So they don't fucking care if you don't like them or not, but you're running those numbers up.
And it's just trash. And it's just perpetuated trash.
It's
Like
pollution, you know?
literally.
It's like
It's
it's
pollution.
digital smog.
Yes.
You know, we're going to look back now, like in like 20 years, to like how we look back now to like the 70s. And then you just see all of that exhaust, and we're like, holy shit, like we were living like that, and people
We
thought it
were
was
living
fine.
like that. Like
Yes. Like,
there was a tweet that said we were never meant to know it was this many people on the earth, let alone their thoughts.
yes, that's so true. Like, our
Like
brains cannot handle it.
cannot process that. And
Mm-mm.
when and when the brain tries, and I
Yeah.
hope that I do not offend anyone, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't, step on any toes or say the wrong thing. But when
Sure.
the
I mean,
brain begins to, like you said, begins to even try to process things,
mm-hmm.
the thoughts of others, the thoughts
Yeah.
of strangers, that's when we run into spirits like suicide, you
Mm.
know, spiritual demons, like just like I don't even know, like attention. Attention is like a demon. Seriously,
Mm.
it's like it's draining. People are
It
willing to
is.
trade in their souls for this. You're willing to
Yeah.
trade in something priceless for something that is essentially worthless.
Yes, exactly. Like it's such like North Node, South Node stuff. Like this con- perpetual hunger for consumption and then this perpetual draining and waste.
Yes,
It's like there's no
there's
metabolism
yes,
happening. You
not
know,
at
it's
all.
just
I love that
consumption and
language.
excretion.
I love that language because it literally aligns with our human body. So you cannot say you don't understand what Elena just said. It is literally consumption and excretion. Like there
Hmm.
is no nourishment happening from this fake attention that
Yeah,
we
you're
are
eating
willing to.
plastic food.
Basically, nothing's happening.
Right.
Nothing is happening. Like
Yeah, except for feeding those negative spirits, you know? Like, I
and giving
mean,
them power. Yes.
right. When I saw that like Twitter has all these like Aries placements, I'm like, A, this is why I spend so much time on there because I have an Aries moon and Mars in the seventh house. But B, I see why that's what gets attention is yelling and being loud and being
Oh,
confrontational.
oh
It's
my
literally
gosh.
primed for it.
Elena,
Like,
you're an Aries moon. This
yeah.
this just makes this just makes everything so much more spicier. So when chaos is going on for real, Elena, like what's crazy is Aries moon has no chaos. They don't want it. They don't. It has
Thank
no place.
you.
It has no place in their life whatsoever. But if there is chaos going on around, you guys are like, what's about to happen next? Like, oh my gosh, like I am thoroughly entertained. That's an Aries move. They're like, keep the chaos away from me and my personal life, but I kind of like it here a little bit. It's fun. What you guys
Oh
doing?
my god.
I love it. I love it because, like you said, you like when I found out about Twitter, you're like, whoa, I love it here, but I don't want anyone to know that I love it here. And I'm gonna
Right, but
use
I'm
it.
like sitting there like watching everybody
Yes.
and I sit there and it's like my like, I have like Pluto and Juno and Scorpio in the second, so I'm always like
Okay.
opposing my Venus in the eighth. So I'm always like looking at likes and like seeing who liked what and like who retweeted this and
And
who's
how this
following who
pertains to them and what
and
they
just
even have to do with this. Yes, I love it. I love
but
it.
I don't want any mess and I don't want to be involved in any drama. But if
Literally,
I hear about it, I'm there with my little opera glasses like I want to see what's going on.
literally, you're there with your binoculars. Like, I have to know what's going on.
It's modern
Like,
day gladiatorial. Like
yeah,
that's literally it. They're out there swinging at each other, fighting with each other, just killing each other for sport.
it is nothing new under the sun. Like, I want
Yes.
us to stop. Like you said, it's literally they took it from physical violence and made it
Yeah.
emotional, mental violence. Like they're just
Yes.
on social media trying to attack your mind all day, all
Mhm.
night, all year, all
Yep.
every day, all day. And the fact
Yes.
that there is no the fact that there is very little to none or to no self-regulation, that there has to be posts and things like that to tell
Mm.
you, hey, put the phone down, hey, have a
Yeah.
challenge where you don't have the phone. It's like, what where's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Where's the disconnect? Where did it become that you couldn't lead your life without this device that you just got?
I know. Like it's
As a
so.
kid, you lived longer without a cell phone than you did with one. Like, come
Yep.
on now, stop it. Like,
Yeah, and like even with the like, do you feel are you comfortable sharing how old you are? I just turned
definitely,
32.
definitely.
Yeah,
I'm about to be 32 in August.
love
So
it.
I am so excited. My mom is like, you should do like a grown-up trip, like something for
Mm,
yourself. Like, make sure you have a really good birthday. And I'm like, you know what?
yeah,
She's right. Cause like it's just it's just needed.
yeah.
Because it's one of those really odd times, right?
Mm,
Like 32 is like what's happening? Like
yeah,
I was just 32 years ago. Like
yeah. And now
so,
it's
but
like creeping
33, I
in.
love the 33. I love
Right.
33. Like that's the Jesus number. So I'm like excited for that
And so I'm so glad that you brought that up because the first stream that I had today, we talked about the ninth house in astrology.
one.
And
Okay.
the ninth house is the one that you get to at 32 if you're looking at annual profections, right? So
Yes,
you're talking about religion, spirituality,
exactly.
travel, long
Ex-
distance,
yes,
writing, publishing,
yes,
all of
yes,
that big brain kind of stuff.
yes.
And so
That
you
looks like my
need that
vision board.
preparatory time.
Yes, everything you just said looks like my vision board. It's so funny.
Right. And
Like,
that's what's coming up for you. And it's also
yes,
the joy of the sun.
yes,
So bringing in those solar themes
yeah.
again.
And just like having like that word joy,
Mm.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
like it's something that truly comes from within. I think a lot of times we say like, "Oh, you have to be happy on your own." Like, no, you have to be able to generate joy on your own.
Mm.
You
Yes.
have to be able to laugh on your own. You have to be able to
Yes.
be content and pleasurable on your own. Happy has become so generic after
Mm-hmm.
Pharrell's because I'm happy. Like it's just like you don't know. People
Yeah.
that's why we get confused because
Mm-hmm.
people do things like commit suicide and they have
Yeah.
people that love them that are like, but I thought they were happy. And
Yeah.
we know that that has to be the, the furthest thing from the truth because you don't get to that point if you're in any way, shape, or form joyful,
Yeah.
optimistic, positive.
Right. People
So,
can really put on a facade and it just feels
very much
like,
so.
wow, like we've
Very much
become
so.
so performance oriented.
That's,
It's more important to perform happiness and success and abundance than to actually like achieve it in a meaningful way for you, not the template of abundance,
yes,
but your personal abundance.
yes.
Like I
Your
don't want a
personal,
big old Liberace mansion and shit.
exactly.
Like,
But I want oxygen, right? Like I want green around me. I want to be able
mm,
to touch the dirt and grow. Like I want to be able to say I did that. Like you said, it's like that's my version of abundance. It's like,
yeah.
whoa, like I'm able to grow something. Like you can't take anything away from me. You can't, do this. So I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. But that's absolutely where I feel like everything is just headed. It's
Mhm.
like you said, that writing. I'm getting back more into like writing. I've always been pen to paper. Like I've been a baby and I'm walking around. I have pictures of me walking around with a pen and a
Oh
pamper. Like,
wow.
what are you doing, right? And I like got a poem published when I was like 13,
Oh
and that
wow.
was really cool. Yeah, and it was like called The Rock Within, and it just
Mm.
described how I was feeling, and I can't describe how I even was feeling this way, but it's
Mhm.
just for from all of my life since I can remember,
Yeah.
I've always known that God, creator, divine, spirit
Mhm.
set me on a path to
Mm.
do whatever is necessary to get humanity back to a level of humanity. Because at this point now, like Elena, give me a good word. Like, where are we?
Hell, I mean, are
This is
very close to. Like it's
very close
it's
to
so bad out
mm,
there.
this is not human. This is not
No,
human at
it's
all. This is the
not.
furthest thing from it. And it's not going to change yourself. It's
Mm-mm.
definitely going to take us to raise the vibration and
Mm-hmm.
to raise the frequency. And it will start with you looking crazy to everyone that you love, but it
Yeah.
will end up with them saying, "Help me, show me, I need you.
So
Will
true.
you please?" Yes, yes. So,
Like people will really look at you kind of sideways, but then like even like 6 months in, like if you are really, here's the thing though, if you are really doing the work and actually
yeah,
doing that healing and that growth, then people will pick up on that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
some people
Like
get
you
into it
said,
just for play or for show,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And when people know you're doing it for show, they
Yeah.
like you get treated like it. But and it's like
Right.
people like me and you get a bad rap for it, and we get
Yeah.
called certain things because there's
Mm-hmm.
people out here that are not, because no one's perfect, right? Not
Yeah. Oh,
one
true.
person, not
Yeah.
anything, nothing in life, nothing on earth is perfect. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot be. It is literally impossible. It goes
Yeah.
against the laws of nature.
Right.
So the simple fact that we don't acknowledge that and already assume that everything is going to be needed to be granted grace. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
going to be needed to be granted grace because it's not perfect. It's
Yeah.
never going to be perfect like for us. So it's just so like it's a lot, but it's truly the core, one of the cores and one of the foundations of spirituality, which is like you
Mm.
say, if you're doing the work, if you're really actively working through it, who the people who know and get it will notice,
Yeah.
and they will be affected by your change. Your vibration will vibrate, it will connect to something in them. They
Yeah,
will feel it.
absolutely.
And it,
Like,
yes.
yeah, I was just gonna say like the image that conjured for me was Damian Rourke on Twitter, who is the partner of Amaya Rourke.
Okay.
Both great magicians in their own right. Amaya's a great astrologer. Damien talks about, he gives this example that was so like literally like like that emoji of like the person's like brain like
Right. I
exploding.
used it today. I used it today. The brain exploded. Yes.
Like that's how I felt. So the example that he gave was that he was like working in a music store or something, and the like owner was like, "Hey, let me show you this cool trick." And so he like set up like an amp, and he like played this guitar at this certain note, and then let it ring really loudly throughout it, and then shut it off, and then all the other strings on the guitars at that tone, like that energy, they pick up on it. And I was like, holy fuck. Like that is such a good way to explain this stuff. Like, cuz honestly, I've
Yes.
always like I'm a little bit of a skeptic sometimes. Like I still approach
Okay.
astrology with that. I'm like, let
Okay.
me check and make sure this still works. So like all the vibration
Right.
stuff, I was like, I don't know about all this. But then like that example, I was like, I see it now.
Yes.
I get
Yes.
it. Like,
Yes.
I see how this like stuff works.
Yes. I was just gonna say, I'm like, vibrations is one of those things that you can definitely like. You can throw that on a backbone. Or your skepticism can like totally get put in the bag because
Yeah.
the vibrations, the frequencies,
Mm.
that's those are the things that have been here before us, and so
Mm.
that's why we have to attune to them. That's
Mm-hmm.
why it's like they're just here,
Yeah.
like they've been here. They like the trees, the ocean, the animals, they all are parts of these different hertz and frequencies, and
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful. Crickets, like cicadas, like
Right.
all those things that make sounds in nature, birds for sure, like
Mm.
bells, clapping. If you walk in a room and clap, that will wake up the spirits. It'll change the vibration of the room. Like
Yeah.
there is, man, the
I mean,
vibrations
that's just like
are
a
real.
basic like magical thing. Like even if you
Yes,
don't like believe in that kind of stuff, it's like it's one of the most common pieces of advice for
yes,
approaching an altar or opening a spiritual
yes,
space is clapping. Like it's an
Exactly.
easy form of sound cleansing. You just
Yes.
clap and yell and
Yes.
bang pots and pans and just
Yes.
clear out
Yes.
that
We
kind of,
clear it out.
what would you call it? Like stagnation.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you're cleansing the stagnant
Mm.
air. You're like sanitizing the air, literally.
Yes.
Yes. Especially from like things like what's going on as far as these weapons in spiritual war that
Mm.
have been unleashed against us,
Mm-hmm.
and have our immune systems literally working hard day and night, no off days.
Yeah. Right, because
So
stress ruins your immune system. Like, and it's engineered like that. Like, society is engineered to make you more
to
stressed out
stress
and to
you out,
weaken you.
I tell all of my clients, which everyone I am available for readings. I tell all of my clients society is set up to keep you sad.
Mm-hmm.
It is set up to keep you miserable. It is set up to keep you negative. It is set up to make sure you stay in the lowest vibration.
Mm.
It literally has to be a personal conviction to say, I no longer resonate with low vibrations.
Yes, conviction. Yes.
Like
Like
personal
that, like
conviction.
conviction in the soul.
Yes. That way
Yes.
when your soul even see, like you were saying, like that word resonate. I love that you used it first. I love that we're using it because
Mm.
when we speak about those vibrations, like the guitar, right? Like those guitars could only like react to that guitar because they were tuned properly.
Right, exactly. It was
Literally.
that specific string that was at that frequency that was the one that vibrated. So it's like
Exactly.
it's a literal physical example
It's
of,
literally a physical, material example of
because a
how
lot of
we
people need the material example. Like I still
exactly.
need a lot of material
Yes.
examples. Like
Yes.
my Venus in Taurus as my ascendant ruler is still like I want to see it in my hands. I need to physically experience this, but then once I
Period.
do, like
I don't
then
need
I
to ever
can
feel
know.
like, yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm like, with the Taurus and Venus, it's like I just need to see it once. Once you show me once, I don't need nothing else. I don't need nobody
Right.
else. I don't need nothing. Once you show
Yeah.
me once and I know it happened, and it's that because Taurus moon, okay? So I'm here with you.
Mm.
I need to feel it in, I need to see it, I need to know it's real. Once I do, I never have to even, question it
Yes.
again.
Right.
So
Because it's just Taurus just knows. I think that's one of the reasons that the moon is like exalted in Taurus,
yes,
is just how old the moon is. And you think about Cancer and the age of the ocean and like how all this water's been here before us. And the moon is just knowing, it's just
how
this
it's just
ancient
knowing.
knowing and
Yes.
wisdom.
It's just ancient. It's knowing.
Mm.
My bonus son, my stepson,
Mm hmm.
he is very in tune with the moon. At
Mm.
6 years old,
Oh,
he's
wow.
like, where's the moon? He's like, I love the moon. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I just love it because it speaks to that old soul. It speaks to that ancient wisdom. It just speaks to that, like, hey, kids are not going around talking about, and it's so crazy because my other baby, she's
Mm hmm.
obsessed with the sun, right? She's like
Interesting.
turning 7 and wants to watch the sunrise. And I'm like, where did you come from? And
Wow.
it's these connections to these planets that begin the foundation of things like astrology. Because if you
Yes.
already are familiar with the moon, you love the sun, then once you get to learning about what all of that means and its
Yeah.
placements in space, then you're already like tuned in, like, okay, that's what I want to
Right.
talk about. That's what I
Because
want to talk
like
about.
that was astrology originally. Like that's how the Babylonians and the Mesopotamians and
Did
the
everything.
Egyptians practiced it, was
Yes,
just from following the motion and
yes,
recording it and really honoring those embodied experiences of time, not just what does this say on paper. It's really easy for
yes,
us now to get lost in the data, lost in the techniques, whatever. But like if you just go back to just spending time with the
yeah,
moon and the sun and the
yeah.
stars and the planets and just feeling that embodied wisdom,
That,
like I think
that,
it really
yes.
shifts your practice.
It really does. It's just
Mm.
because like you said, it's one of those things where it's as old as like space.
Yes.
It's like they it wasn't meant for space to study us. We were meant to study space. Like we were meant to figure that out. We were meant to use that as a tool. And like
Yeah.
you said, it's just like there's so many connections, there's so many
Mm,
interpretations. 12 disciples, 12 months, 12
right.
astrology signs, 12 like 12 hours in the first half of the day, 12 hours in the next. Like it's just so many things
Mm,
that connect, that have been deemed other things, or like that this doesn't have anything to do with this, but it really does. It
yeah,
really is all connected.
it truly does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I so we have an Aries moon and a Taurus moon. So y'all are getting like the best of like chaos and luxury and wisdom, and it's just like it's a melting pot of knowledge. I love it.
Mm. Yeah, because, like, you talk about the moon as the way that our bodies process knowledge and the way that we experience that. And, one of the things, like, I really appreciate, like, I feel like you feel Aries. Like, I feel like you really
Yes,
feel me because some
I
people
do.
have this weird bratty image of Aries.
Yeah, no.
But, like, Aries as, like, childlike intuition, like that real
Yes,
sense of just knowing
yes,
something and not even knowing where
yes.
you know it from, but being just
But
like,
just knowing you know it and
just
not
knowing
needing
it.
to question it.
Yeah,
like
just being
like you
like,
said, it's
oh,
that childlike belief.
yes.
Yeah. Like the word, or the divine says to revert yourself back to a child, or that you should
Mm,
have the faith of a child, meaning you don't come to the creator or the divine questioning. You just know where you
yeah.
came from, and you know to do as you were told to do. You just know to believe, you know to do, like you said, you just don't know where it came from, but you know to do it.
Right.
And
It's just
it's
in your body, in your
just in your
soul.
body. Yes. And it's that conviction that
Mm-hmm.
is truly what has people intimidated and sometimes envious of
Yeah.
Aries placements, which gets interpreted as bratty to insecure people, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's just like, that's their perception, and
Right.
we'll let them have it. But we know that, Aries are the ram,
Mm-hmm.
and you're first for a reason. They're the first zodiac sign for a reason. And
Right.
it's the first fire sign for a reason. And I like my fire sign family. Of course, I'm like, yo, because the Aries is like a the Aries is like a fire you put in the, like a contained fire that you can,
Mm.
put out when necessary. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm good, right?
It's lighting that first candle of
Yeah,
spring.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah. That's the Aries. That's that spark.
Mm.
Yeah, it's that
Mm-hmm.
spark, like
Yeah.
you said. It's
The
lighting that,
first kind of
giving you that
spark of
energy.
fire to humans,
Definitely,
like Prometheus passing
definitely.
it to us.
Yes, the man that gave you fire. Yes,
Yeah.
I love that energy. Yes, but no, I'm going to, just because of your openness and your receptiveness, I definitely feel your energy in general. But you're absolutely correct as far as just feeling like Aries moon. It takes years of observation, years of putting things together, but it's once you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe any sign is a bad sign. I don't believe I'm
Thank
like,
you.
you know what I mean? Like we all have 12, each of the 12 signs inside of us. And
Yes.
it's about what you choose to resonate with. It's about what you choose to embody. And
Yes.
once that's what it is, that's just what it is. So
Right.
I am I am just I like astrology is truly my first love. Like we're talking about like Highlight magazine, 8 years old, 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
reading the zodiac, reading the like astrology clips, like getting the little M14 magazines, getting the
Yes.
zodiac, like yes. So man, I
Because
have
even with as simple as it is, like, there's something still there that, like, touched your soul. Like, just
definitely
because you mentioned about kid stuff, I'm gonna be right back. But I just thought
okay.
about something the other day that I was like, this is, like, probably, like, part of the start of my, like, spirituality journey.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Okay.
yeah, give me just a second here.
All right.
Okay, so I had to go through a whole bunch of my like childhood stuff in the last
Mm-hmm.
couple months because I moved and I had a bunch of stuff still like at my mom's and whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I got this little box from Claire's when I was
Oh my
like
gosh, Claire!
so this was 2002, so I would have been 12, and
Yes.
look at this manifesting little luck
Okay, but put it over a little bit. Put it over this to the left.
to the
To,
left.
yes. Now
There you
down a
go.
little bit. Oh, I love it.
Like this was the start of like manifesting practice, like this little luck
Yes,
box,
for sure.
and it
A
has
love
this.
box. It's like the little, it's like the little witches, like, like trunk case or something. Like, I love it.
Right.
I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
so it says to use this magical creation, gather all of your imagination in your heart. It will be wishes granted, wait and see.
Yes,
So it's
I was
like this
gonna
is how you
say,
started teaching kids about this stuff.
yes. It's that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that they don't tell
Yeah.
you, that they don't tell you is you. That they don't tell you that is you. And
Yeah, it's
it's
inside of
like,
you all along.
yeah, it's like just follow the rainbow. Like 2 years ago, I was watching the sunrise on my birthday and a rainbow
Mm.
appeared, and it just, and when I tell you, it rested my soul in a way
Mm.
that had never happened before, and it was just
Yeah.
like I am well taken care of by the universe, by the
Mm.
divine, by my ancestors, by my spirit guides. Like, how dare I preach or teach any other message other than you all are also covered, and
Mm-hmm.
you are also connected to the divine. You are
Yes.
also everything that I am. You are,
Mm.
and so that is just where I feel like for me, speaking of that Aries, that's where that spark just kind of took off in me. And I was like, hey, I'm ready to take clients. I'm ready to do readings. I'm ready to
Mm-hmm.
bless houses. I'm ready to practice magic. I'm ready to assist with my gifts in any way possible.
Yeah.
And I have been just doing my best to do that since. And it's just that rainbow. Rainbows are so powerful. If you don't know,
Mm.
if you are not aware, if you see a rainbow in any sort of signia, like even if it's a
Mm-hmm.
real rainbow, a picture rainbow, like they're just so powerful. Like really take that in.
Yeah,
Really
like
take that in.
all of those frequencies of color,
The
like,
color
yeah.
therapy, it's real. When a rainbow
Yeah.
appears, that's that mash of all the colors. And it's just
Mm.
like that burst.
It's like the
So
house special, like you get everything, you
yes,
get the full spectrum.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Color therapy is real. Colors have vibrations.
Yeah, that's
Colors
true.
have
Yeah, because it's like
frequency.
at different wavelengths and stuff, like vibration, frequency. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're right. I think it's just like I think sometimes people need to hear it in like maybe different language or something, but it's like
Yeah.
these concepts are communicable. It's just like this
Yes.
is part of the thing with divination is like astrology doesn't speak to everybody. Spirituality doesn't speak to everybody. Tarot, dice, whatever. But there is
Yes.
some entry point for you
Yeah.
somewhere.
There for everyone. There
Yeah,
is
and
some
that's part
entry
of what
point
I'm
for you.
doing with this series is it's like I
Yeah.
want people to like meet new people,
Fine.
see new
Yeah.
different perspectives, and it's like if somebody is like, hopefully people are sitting here and feeling this conversation the way that I'm
Definitely.
feeling this conversation
Definitely.
and are
The way
like, you know
I'm
what,
feeling
hey, I
it.
want to go hit up Brittany and I want to
Yes.
work on more of this and I want to dig into
Right.
more of this.
Definitely. Like that is literally the goal. Like she said, it's like if we give you all of these different pathways and options and guides, like you will find your entryway into spirituality. You will find something that
Yes.
Elena said, something that I said will resonate with you to be become that, to get that spark, to be self-aware, because that's all it takes. All it takes is for you to be self-aware, like, yo, I'm powerful. Yo, I can do
Mm.
anything. Like, now what do I do from knowing that I can do anything? Because not
Yeah.
having that guide, not having that discernment will take your power and it'll be used for the negative. So that's
Yes.
really why Elena is doing things like this is to have you like, okay, I know my power, but now where do I place it? Where do I evoke it? Where do I give it my
Mm.
energy at? So like we cannot stress how spaces and people and conversations like this are so necessary, so necessary. Like
Yes.
you said, all different types of meet new people. That's one.
Yeah.
Meet new people, make those connections. You are meant to connect.
Right.
We are meant to
Everybody
connect.
has an 11th house,
Yes,
like you're supposed to
yes,
connect with people. You're supposed to have larger groups and networks that you belong to. Everybody has a
absolutely.
Jupiter placement. Like Jupiter
Everybody.
wants to party and Jupiter wants to get
Yes.
together in a collective.
Yes. Yes. And it's just about all about a balance. It's just
Yeah.
all about a balance. Because I know we said earlier we were never supposed to know these many people and these many thoughts, but that's not what we're referring to. We're referring to
Right.
real time things like this. We're
Yes.
referring to when you put yourself out there, like, hey, Elena put herself out there with the tweet, like, hey, I'm looking to have
Mhm.
conversations. And my
Yeah.
spirit put myself out there when I said, hey, I'm open and wanting to have a conversation about spirituality. Yes,
Yeah.
like any chance to be able to talk about the transformation that
Mm.
these ideologies have done in our lives, is like, yes, I'm ready.
Yes, it's like testimony. Honestly, a lot of this
Definitely,
like really feels like
definitely,
sharing your testimony.
definitely, definitely.
Because it's like it can be a real, I mean, I'm not even going to say it can be. It is a hard road. If you're
It
getting
is.
into it for some real transformation and really engaging with that Pluto stuff and that Saturn stuff, it's hard, but
It's
it's
hard,
worth it.
but it's just take the words out of Elena's mouth. It is hard. It is going. I'm going to tell you now. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done.
Yes.
Taking
Yes.
you from your worst to your best is
Mhm.
going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. The
Yes.
journey will never end. As long as you wake up every day, your journey is continuing. You have no end points. The best you can possibly be is going to be when it is your last time here.
Mhm.
That's why they say things like live like it's your last, not so you do reckless things, but so you do purposeful, intentional things.
Right. Yeah. Being like, if this is the last opportunity that might have to do this,
Yes.
how would I want that to be? How would I want to leave this? If I walk out of here right now and get hit by a bus,
How do I
am I
want to
leaving
leave
this
it?
situation with the integrity that I would want to
Exactly.
leave it with?
Integrity, that
Yeah.
word right there, that is a vocabulary word in spirituality. Know
Mm-hmm.
it, learn it, love it, because it is going to
Yep.
integrity. It is literally
Yes.
going to be the backbone
Mm.
of what you present.
Yeah.
What like are you displaying any integrity whatsoever?
Mm-hmm.
Because things like gossip sites, things like negativity, things like trolling, that there's nothing in that.
Yeah. There's nothing productive or generative about it. It's only negative and, reductive and draining but it's like a lot of people though there is stuff in them that feeds off of that. Everybody
Yes,
has this
yes.
like I don't know if it's your like, traumatized
Yeah,
self or like this stuff
yeah.
that like really feeds off of that. Like, you know what? I'm fucking miserable, but I want to see somebody else being even more miserable than I am. And then that's going to make me feel better.
Like it's literally, it's like um it's one of those things where there are people that thrive off of the saying, somebody got it worse than me. Like,
Mhm.
why not let's flip that and say, as bad as it is, I'm still grateful.
Yeah.
As it could, it's bad. It's really bad, but it can
Yeah.
only get better for me from here.
Yeah.
Why, like you said, why are we so fixated and so committed to, if I'm unhappy right now, I know somebody else somewhere got it way worse, and that makes me a little bit more happier about my already unhappy situation. Like,
Yeah.
no, no. Let's just let's just speak to those spirits and cut them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and cut them off. You
Cut them
don't
off.
feed them.
Yeah.
You don't feed them. But social media is big. It's huge. It's a huge appetite for negative spirits. It's just a place where it's not safe. It's not
Mm-hmm.
safe. It's very dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, you're really right about like spiritual warfare. I mean, again, people can use different vocabulary for it, but like, and this is one of those things, like, this is part of why I wanted to have this conversation because, like, I come from, like Astro Twitter. I come
Yeah.
from, I guess, mostly a kind of like Hellenistic, somewhat traditional kind of
Mm-hmm.
base stuff, and like, honestly, I come from some very white spaces. And so,
Right.
like, the language that, a lot of the people in, I guess, quote unquote, my community, which is extremely broad, and I'm not
Right.
in community with a lot of those people,
Right.
is different, Like, so they might shy away from saying spiritual warfare, but they'll say, like, oh, well, people are hexing and cursing each other out here, and it's really bad, and you need to put up your wards. But then when you say spiritual warfare, then they're like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, it's the
It's
same
the
thing. It's
same
the same
thing.
thing.
It's the
Like,
same
just
thing.
perceived differently through your lens that you
through, through
understand.
your language. Yes, through your
Yeah.
lens and your language. And like you said, because tell me what tell me what else it would mean when a stranger, as you just stated,
Mm-hmm.
is putting hexes and curses on people they don't know,
Right.
on people
What
they
else is
never
that but
met.
warfare?
What else is that but warfare? And that
Like,
is
do you want to
where,
quibble with the dictionary? Like, what?
like,
I don't.
right, do we
What
want
do
to
you
do
need to do?
wordplay? Because it's it's no wordplay. It's what
Yeah.
it is. And when
Right.
you take attack against someone
Yeah.
via their spirit, that
Yeah.
is to the most, to the utmost priority.
Yeah.
As we stated, so within is so without, meaning
Yes.
within is first. You attacked my spirit. You unleashed a psychic attack on me. You attacked my gift. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those things that when you are covered, you do still just appreciate your spirit guides.
Yeah.
You dote on them, you love on them because you know
Mm.
that they block those things that you can't see. Because like
Yes.
you said, it's essentially war. If you
Yeah.
could see everything coming, it wouldn't be war. It has to be some sort of strategy and
Yeah.
tact, and
Right.
it's a fight for your soul. And as I stated, I am on the winning team. I
Mm.
am encouraging everyone who is even remotely wanting to get involved to make sure they are on the winning team as well.
Yeah.
Because it's serious and it's your soul.
Truly.
It's that essence that comes back. It's that essence that's passed along in DNA. It's that essence that is your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want it tainted. You don't want it evil. You don't want it used for anything other than ascension.
Yeah.
Literally.
Sure.
Ascension.
Yeah.
You were created to ascend
Mm.
to a level that is unfathomable, to a
Right.
level where we are all shining so bright we can no longer see each other. We
Mm.
are just feeling each other. We are just around, and it's light and it's no darkness. And yeah, so already you can eradicate the darkness right now. Make that choice, and you're like, yo, I don't see that. That's no
Yeah.
longer in
I'm
my
gonna
space.
turn the lights on.
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
turning the lights on.
Yeah.
If you, if you, if anyone out there has ever thought about practicing or recreationally using things like shrooms, I'm not sure if you've ever used shrooms, Elena, but
Mm.
when we speak of turning the lights on, when we
Mm-hmm.
speak of being self aware, when we speak of waking up,
Mm.
that is definitely a tool,
Oh
a herb
yeah.
that
Right.
can be used. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Can be used to reset those negative mindsets.
Yes. Absolutely. I would really like to work with them one day. I feel like it's one of those things where they're like a plant ally that chooses you. Like, when you're ready, they will come to you. They will make it happen. Like, I cannot remember her name right now, but there's a person who works with she does what she calls microanimism, and like
Okay.
so talks about like those animist like interpersonal kind of
Right.
dimensional, I guess, in a way, relationships with not just animals and plants and the earth and stuff, but thinking about our microbes and our bacteria
Oh,
and the
like, because there
fungus
is
and stuff.
definitely good bacteria. There's like good bacteria, there's bad bacteria, there's just duality in everything. And like you said, they're even down to the relationship with the microbes. Like that's deep. That's
Like
deep.
this, let me just read this because like I just read it again, and like the person's name is Civ. So they said the microbial world disallows us to delineate ourselves from the rest of the living and dying world. Microbial lives and activities are a finder smudge across the charcoal boundary of physical bodies and the rest of the universe, and the relationship between human culture and microorganisms is unlike any other on the planet. Are you a collection of microbes having a human experience, or are you a human having a microbial experience?
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like I was like, "Oh my god." Like, and this is the thing now with like fungus and like mushrooms, like with how complex they've been shown to be able to think essentially and communicate. I'm like, wow. Like, I mean, for me as like a vegan, I'm even starting to kind of be like, I really need to respect mushrooms more. Like they're probably the most like intelligent thing that I eat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow,
They
I really
grow
need to honor
fast.
these
Like
more.
they literally have a mind of their own. Like
Yeah, truly a mind of their own.
truly. Very, 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 very powerful plants.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. So I am that quote was so like
Right? Like I'm just like I yeah,
because I'm
I
sitting here now and I'm like I feel like I'm wanting to discern which one I am, right? Like I'm wanting to
right.
be like, yo, like, am I a micro having a human experience?
Right,
Or
because
am
like
I
that's
a
how we
human?
became what we
Yeah,
are, as we came
right.
we from single cell organisms to
From single
multicellular
cell
ones.
organisms, literally a little
And so now
atom,
we're
right?
just a bunch of those, like a bunch of specialized cells that ended up deciding that it was advantageous for all of them if they worked together,
To
you
create
know,
this,
to
like,
create this
whoa.
human experience. So, right? Like this like really fucking like drove me crazy. Oh, over here in my chat, one of my chatters says there's a person on YouTube that makes music from mushrooms, and that this person was saying that mushrooms do have a language.
Like, that is amazing.
Right?
Like when I say music has its own, like, so powerful, which is why the
Mm.
music industry is revered the way it is. You know, we always sit around and we're like, why are rappers and singers being used as leaders and iconic and being like,
Yeah.
it's because it's like music is beyond, it transcends.
Yeah.
Like the mushrooms respond to the music.
Yeah.
So it is beyond you as a human. You definitely cannot control what this frequency is supposed to make you feel or do,
Right.
or what this whole body of work is supposed to make you feel about who, did it. So that's why I
Yeah.
feel like singers and rappers are, they're put on these pedestals because of
Mhm.
how the music
Yeah.
comes together and it's just so powerful and it just is like whoa. So the
It's
fact
like
that
almost annoying sometimes when you could tell how engineered stuff is to make you feel a certain way. Like when I listen to a song and like I like it despite not wanting to like it, or it makes
I
me
know
cry or
something. I
something.
know somebody has like done witchcraft with it. I
Right,
know it.
somebody has
Yes,
engineered that in a way
yes,
to provoke that response, to
yes,
like poke
yes.
that button in your brain.
Literally,
And I'm like, I don't like
yes.
this.
I'm like, yeah. And I was gonna say, I'm
Mm-mm.
like, to whoever is doing that, the real people are gonna end up anyway saying, I don't like this, because it's going back and forth. It's literally having like a tug of war with my spirit, and real music doesn't do that. You
Yeah.
either like it or you don't. And the fact that you feel that tug of war alone is like, I don't like it. I don't like
Mm.
it. So just stop it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like
It's
it,
like,
just stop it. But yes, like
mm-mm.
so many of those songs where you just get to listen, and then that's my issue. I'm
Yeah.
an active listener.
Right.
Like, terrible in this generation. Terrible to be in this generation,
Mm.
because
So passive, just kind of idly
they're saying
consuming media.
anything.
Yeah.
Anything is being produced. Anything
Yeah.
is being said. Anything is being believed. So, as an active listener, it is so important that the discernment is like sharp,
Mm. Yes.
because I'm like, yo, what? And then in the same breath, I'm like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I like closed my eyes when you were talking about the quote, because I'm like, yo, when it started, I'm like, I really need to feel this. Like, whatever she's
Mm.
about to say, I really need to feel it. And then
Yeah.
that's when I opened my eyes and I was like, whoa, so Brittany, what
Yeah.
are you? Which one
Yeah.
are you? And it just,
Right?
that was good. That was good. So I'm glad we brought up the mushrooms. I'm so happy that they're like interacting in the chat. Like, if they have any, topics that they want us to discuss, I'm so
Yeah.
open for that
Well,
too.
Zombie Weaver did mention, have you ever tried float tanks? Like, as far
I
as,
was
like,
recommended for a
yeah?
float tank by my Reiki therapist, who is a
Okay.
medical professional, Dr. Terry. Love her so much. I won't get into, my personal like Reiki business, but I will
Sure.
say that I recommend Reiki for anyone looking to experience a release,
Mm.
anyone looking to cleanse their energy. And I'm not just talking about like what the sage will do. I'm talking
Right.
about all those energetic blocks, all of those, like
Yeah.
everything that you've put up, it will just fall. It is amazing. It is wonderful. And she definitely was like, hey, you need a float tank ASAP. I still haven't been to one. It's been
Mm.
a year. So don't judge. Look,
Well, maybe
nobody
this is the
judge
message
me.
coming back up. Is like, hey,
Yes.
hey, do you remember
Yes,
float tanks?
exactly. Remember flow tanks. And you know what? You know what was another thing? I'll share with you guys a little bit of what she said about me. When I first walked in, she was so in tune that she didn't need to do anything. She was just listening to my body, and
Mm.
my body was just telling her, like, we're not feeling the dairy.
Yeah.
We're not feeling the
Oh,
gluten.
dairy.
She
Oh
can't
my
have that.
God.
Yeah, she can't have that. She can't do this. And then at the end of her telling me what my body was saying, she was like, but also your body is saying don't do cold turkey because you don't do good with that. And
Yeah.
it was one. It felt so complete. It felt like I knew that she was listening to the
Mm.
right body, because
Yeah.
I have a resistance to change, and it's just
Yeah.
about being self-aware.
I mean, a
You may
Taurus
never
moon. Like, come
you may
on.
never change certain things about yourself, but it's
Yeah.
about being aware of the fact that, when change comes, I don't do good with change. So give me a second. A second could mean 6 months. A second could mean a year. But
Right.
I still need that time in order to transition gradually, because if I don't, things will be way worse than if I didn't.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
100%.
yeah.
Like, you
Like, so that,
cannot rush that stuff sometimes. And,
exactly.
like,
But you're
especially
right.
when it's happening on, like, a divine, like, timeline. Like,
Oh, that was another thing. It's like divine time.
yeah.
So yes, I recommend Reiki. I recommend float tanks. I am going. Thank you, Elena. You're right. It came up for a reason, and I am going to make sure I book myself one.
Yeah. Cause like I really want to do one. I'm gonna try hopefully to do one this year too. Cause like all of that magnesium
Oh,
alone I know is gonna be so good and so
for the
relaxing.
body. Oh my God.
Mmm.
Like, the amount of magnesium and zinc that we need that we're not getting is insane.
Yeah.
The amount
True.
of vitamin D that we need that we're not getting is insane.
Which is another of the beautiful thing about mushrooms, that they're so full of vitamin D. They're an
Yes,
amazing source of vitamin
it's
D, which people wouldn't
amazing source of
expect.
vitamin D.
But
Exactly.
like there's such a good source, and like they do that for us. I'm like, wow. Like,
Yeah.
thank you, mushrooms. Like,
Thank
I'm
you,
so
Mother Earth.
grateful for you. And like, thank you, plants,
Seriously.
and thank you, Earth. Like, I'm just
Thank you,
having a Venus
Earth.
and Taurus
Literally.
moment here. Like,
Thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you, plants. Thank you, life. Like, just thank
yes.
you for all of it, for just like keeping the cycle going. Like, we need you. We love you. Thank you for having us.
Yes. Yeah, for having us is I think is the other thing too. Like not, like cuz we are only one species
We are
of
only one species.
how many, and we only occupy so much, but like I was talking about this earlier today in another space about like cuz for me like, being and again, this is my I always preface by saying this is my personal belief. This is not me making any kind of value judgments about anybody else, just my personal approach to stuff. For me,
Mhm.
being vegan is an important part of my religious experience
Yes,
because it's a like commitment to nonviolence and like looking at what Jesus talked about with the peaceable kingdom, in this like ideal future where the lion and the calf are laying down and the child and sticks his arm in the viper's den and doesn't get bitten. And so when I started digging more into that and getting into the concept of dominion and how people abuse that as a human, I have the power to like you know convert all of this stuff into something to serve me versus how can I, with all of the power that I have, be of service
to these things
to
around me.
creation and to
Exactly.
everybody else?
I mean, that
you know like it
that right
completely
there,
changed my framing.
it is
And I don't
amazing.
think you even have to be vegan to do that,
You
but just like
don't.
changing your framing about like how do
Life.
you as a human approach the gift of life and the gift of intelligence and the gift of like opposable thumbs that you've been
Literally.
given? What are you going to do with
Literally.
it?
What are you going to do with the masterpiece that is you? That literally is
Yes.
all these different, like you said, all these different like machines and just every like microbes to make up this body that performs and pumps and does all of this every
Yes.
day. Like it's
Like, wow. Like,
it's
I just
amazing.
wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm alive. I get
I am
another day to
happy.
do this again.
Yes.
Like,
I get an opportunity to do this again. Like, whose life am I going to change? What am I going
yeah,
to say that's going to keep someone going? That's another big thing because, like we know, life is so fragile right now
yeah,
that it's like whatever you like you were saying, whatever you say at this point it could be your last. We don't
yeah,
know. And so,
yeah,
what did you put out into the world? What did you share? What is that legacy that you left? And it
yeah,
just has to be, like you said, it has to be one of peace. It has to be one of peace. There is no other objective. Like, there is no other goal.
mm,
Peace is the peace that passes all understanding. The peace that
yes,
you, where it's like, where did that peace come from? How are you peaceful? This is all going like Elena's gonna do perfect when it's time, right? When it's really time, because it's about being peaceful within all of that chaos. All of that chaos,
mm,
because everybody can't do it. Everybody
yeah,
can't be like, oh my God, what's happening? A lot of people are like, I used to be the person that wanted to go be a part of the chaos. I used to
yeah,
be like that. When it happened and it started, I'm like, wow, let me run to it. Now I'm
right,
like, I'm staying far, far away. Now
yeah,
I know that I can't even give it my attention because I don't even want it to trigger whatever was in me that wanted to do it before. Even though I
yes,
know it's dead, I don't even want to give it my attention.
nope.
So,
Because then even you feeding it by giving
yeah,
it your attention, you are feeding it some scraps, even just by
yes,
recognizing it and by like pondering it there for a minute. You're almost like pre-approving it like a credit card offer. You're like,
literally,
this is possible, like
this
opening
is
up that
possible.
channel of
Yes, yes. I was just telling someone, I'm like, I have been just practicing my visualization and
mm-hmm.
just creating moments and situations in my mind and already seeing them as positive and finished. And
Yeah.
like it happened and it was beautiful. And it's gonna be beautiful and it is beautiful and it's happening now and it's beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
that has been working for me so much that I have to share that with everyone. If you have an imagination, if you are creative, if you are in any way, shape, or form someone that can close your eyes and visualize, then please create the world that is a reflection of the inside of you.
Mm.
Create a peaceful world for you.
Yeah.
And then everything will align. My peaceful world will connect with your peaceful world, and your peaceful world will connect with Elena's peaceful world, and it'll be peace like how we feel now. So it's connection. It's all of that. It's
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right on all of that. Like, just this.
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah, and I think that this is one of those things about, like, because I was just thinking about, what you were saying about, like, whose life am I going to be able to improve today? Like, what word am I maybe going to be able to give somebody that they needed?
They
And, like,
need
when you approach life from a perspective of humility and of service, like,
yes.
how can I help other people around me today, including how can I, by working on making myself my best self,
Right.
through that help the others around me? Because when you
Right.
make yourself better, you make
And
other people around
everything.
you better.
Yes. Yes. When you make yourself better, you make everything around you better.
Yeah.
And also, when you're better and you go
Mm-hmm.
into an environment that is not better, that environment has to raise to your vibration. It is
Yeah.
not the other way around. You
Yeah.
either leave or the vibration stays. Like the vibration either raises or it's like stays. You do not conform. You're like
Right.
a higher, like I don't know
You
where I saw
become
this at.
incompatible with
Yeah,
it.
I
Like,
was gonna
you
say I
just
don't
go into
know.
these spaces and you're like, I can't do this anymore.
And it's like it becomes a point where you get to a level where, and I don't know if I made this up, maybe
Mm.
somebody in the chat can help me, maybe Elena, you can help me.
Mm.
Like frequencies don't resonate with lower frequencies. So it's like if I'm already high, like I was saying, you have to get higher
Mm-hmm.
to even understand my frequency. Same as if you're on a low one, I'm really not gonna resonate or understand. It's one of those things that it becomes incommunicable.
Right. Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean, you're like,
I'm
if it was on a spectrometer, you'd see one little band of light here and one little band of light here, and
yes,
you're just on these opposite ends, and it's like you're not anywhere close to each other.
not anywhere close to each other. And I want people to mind their energy in a way where they're cognitive of that, of
Yeah.
remembering that you are responsible for raising the vibration when you go places.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't come in already, like Elena said, already prepared with your armor, with your warts up, with your everything, you're up, then you set yourself up for certain things. But when you come ready, everything has to just fall in line because you came ready.
Yeah, and like people pick up on that too. Like when you walk into a space, there was a really good, it was, I think Cameron Allen on Twitter was talking about, like, when you are like occupying a space, you also have to make sure to inhabit it as
Yes,
well. Like, if you're
yes,
given a space and if you're entering a space and if you're entering a role, you have to actually fill that and breathe into it and take it on and actually perform it,
yes,
or otherwise you're just going to be kind of clunking around, sort of like
yeah,
when you walk around in your
yeah,
mom's shoes, like
yeah.
they're too
Like,
big for you.
like be that,
Yeah, actually
be that.
embody it, like step
Yes,
into it, like you were given that opportunity for a reason. Like, this isn't a practical joke being played on you,
right. This
you
is real
know?
life.
Yeah,
Be that.
yeah,
It just like you said, when you get to when you choose that life of humility and service, it brings a sense of just belonging, a sense of
mm,
like I said, I know that I'm well taken care of, and it has nothing to do with materials or money, and everything to do with, like Elena said, when I'm am I willing to do what's within my healthy boundaries
mm,
and my beliefs to elevate the next person, to
yeah,
help. the next person, to serve others. And it's yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I always say, I'm like, people confuse the two sometimes, right? They'll say that, someone, they're like, oh, you're not nice, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, I don't need to be nice as long as I'm kind. As
Yes,
long as I'm
thank
kind to
you.
you, I don't need to be nice. And it's one of those things where it's like, yo, if you have a flat tire or something happens to your car and you got
Yeah.
one of the kids with you and you show up to my house at 2 in the morning, yo, I was just asleep. You're not about to get a giddy person that's like, yo, I'm so happy that you were able to come here at 2
Yeah.
a.m. No, you're gonna get in here. Like
Yeah.
I'm tired. But I'm happy you're safe and I'm happy you have the baby and I'm happy you guys knew that you could come here. But you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Go ahead, get y'all whatever y'all need. But I'm not gonna be all
I'm
giddy
not
about
staying up Susie Homemaker at 2:30 in
at
the
all.
morning, you know?
At
Like,
all. But I open my home to you. I
yeah. And that's
told you,
kindness.
and that's kindness, right? Like I didn't have to serve you or chase after you. I did the next best thing. I told you my home was yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it doesn't get any better than that. And it doesn't get any kinder than that, like you said. And it's just one of those things. And it's about seeing that kindness in others as well.
Mm.
Because niceness is not always going to translate. Nice
Mm-mm.
can be so many different things. Kindness is always
Yeah.
going to be kindness.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Literally.
so true. There's so
Yeah.
many versions of nice,
Yeah.
but, you
But
know,
kindness is kindness. When it's
kindness
just
is
not,
genuine.
yes, it's genuine. It's
Mm.
authentic. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, are you really going through that? Yeah, I don't want anyone that I know or I know I've went through that before and how it made me feel. I know I'd do anything to make sure no one would feel that. Or and like I said, it's one of those things where it becomes within those healthy boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
if you know you're someone and you don't have a schedule, of course you can help people all day. You don't have a
Right.
schedule. But if you know you're
Sure.
someone, you have to be at work, it might not be smart to pull over and help someone right
Yeah.
then and there when you have to be at work. It's about those healthy boundaries. It's about, hey, how can I honor myself
Yeah.
and my needs and my wants and my boundaries while still serving?
Yeah. I mean, this is the wisdom of Aquarius, I think. Like the water
I'm
bearer.
Aquarius, North Node.
Yeah. Oh my God, me too. Like this is like this is the wisdom of Aquarius is pouring
Yes,
out that water of life.
yes.
You know,
Being
is
that water
filling it
bearer.
from the river and pouring it out and doing this refilling and pouring and the nourishing
And
and
being air
Saturn
is,
as the caretaker.
yeah, I'm like, and even being air and being able to facilitate all that. Like,
Yeah,
you're
right.
an,
Being able to
you're an
move around and like,
you're an air sign water bearer. Like, stop it.
yeah.
Like, no wonder people like, are always like, yo, I can't, I don't understand the Aquarius. Cause it's like, it's not meant to be. Like you said, it's ancient wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yo, it's water bearing wisdom. It's like, you're
Yeah.
not gonna get it, but we don't, like I said, we haven't explored most of the ocean, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Not
like
going
all of that
anywhere.
stuff is still there being just like that's one of those things that I can't sit and like think about for too long or else I just get completely like, "Oh my God." Like
Like
when
you
I
get a
think about
glitch in your brain. Do you get like
like
a
I
glitch?
yeah, I have Jupiter and Chiron conjunct in Cancer and like my
Okay.
midheaven in Cancer and Ceres in Cancer. And my mom and my dad were both Cancers born on the same day a couple of years apart. So like
Oh
I have a
my
lot of like Cancer water
my Jupiter
energy.
is in Cancer.
Yes.
My dad is
Yeah.
in Cancer. So I completely am like, it's just like it's the water. It's the water.
Yes. It's the water and it's the age of the water and it's the Sasha Ravich was just saying, I quoted her I think yesterday where she was talking about, the sun in Cancer reminding us that like it's light now, but it will be dark again soon, and that darkness will always come back, and that the bottom of the ocean is the oldest cemetery.
Oh my gosh, that was deep.
Like that hit me in my soul,
Me too.
you know?
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And that's the wisdom of Cancer. That's the wisdom of water, you
Okay.
know? Is like water in the blood, right? I mean, you think about
Right.
blood a lot with
Being made up
Scorpio,
of
but
water.
right, we are
Needing
watery
water.
creatures.
Yes. Watery creatures. Like, that's why I'm like, it's okay if we can't breathe down there. We're like made up of like 50% water. We will be fine. Like,
Yeah, I'll have to find it. If I can find it, I'll retweet it and I'll share it with you. But
okay.
I saw somebody talking about like how we were talking earlier about becoming like multicellular organisms from single celled ones. And it basically was talking, it was really long, but basically it was talking about that humans did kind of end up becoming sort of a collective, and like the reason that we're so watery is that the like original water kind of organisms that we were, we had to come out of the water at some point, and we basically decided, what if we like just seal the water inside of us? Like what if we kind of make like a reverse submarine where we can stay wet when outside is dry,
This
and
is
that's
this is
basically what
like
we
this
did.
is
So I'm
like
like,
Akashic Records type information that
mm.
Elena is dropping on you right now. Like she said, this is like ancient. Like she dropped that and you still not even gonna get it. But it's true. But it's
Yeah.
true. We and even now, look to the water. Whatever is going to come
Mm.
is coming from the water.
Yes.
Like it's coming from the water. So pay attention to what the oceans are doing, pay attention to how the water is affecting the weather, the
Mm.
storms, things like that.
Yeah.
Water is going to be very, very prevalent in this time. In this spiritual warfare, water is going to be a tool that both good and evil are going to use, and we will see the outcome.
Yeah. I mean, like I was thinking like when you're talking about warfare on this kind of thing, like, the all of the persecution of like the indigenous people trying to protect their water and their lands, from the exploitation by the pipelines. Like talk about literal warfare, on people who like are so
Constant,
spiritually connected to the land,
constant.
you
Like
know?
and like it's literally like the movie Avatar where
Mm.
when they were cutting down that home tree and it was just like it was excruciating for them.
Yeah.
They all felt this disconnect. They
Right.
felt the light go out.
Yeah.
And it's just so deep. It's
I
like,
feel like humans like, and I think that, I talked about this a little bit, I think yesterday maybe, about like kids like instinctively knowing like, that harm is wrong, basically, like that you shouldn't
yeah,
hurt other
yeah,
people, and that
yeah.
we are the ones who kind of get them all
Who
fucked
teach
up.
them? Yeah,
We impress all of our experiences of violence and
onto
trauma
children.
and all of this onto them,
Yes,
you know
like a,
and it's
a
not
child
fair,
that
they don't get a chance.
I was just gonna say, I'm like a child that has never been told to hit another child back is going to
Yeah.
let a child hit them, and it's gonna just be like, what's going on? Like
Right.
nobody hits me at home. I'm not used to violence. What is this? But like you
What
said,
is this?
a child that has seen someone hit is hitting, and then a
Yeah.
child that has been told, hey, if someone does hit you, you do this, then they're ready to combat that violence. So
Yeah.
you're correct. It's like, but if they've never been introduced to that on either front, they're just like still
Yeah.
because they're just and honestly, children are literally like just the sun wrapped in little kid bodies. Like they are the closest thing to God on
Mm.
earth, closest thing to the divine spirit on earth.
I mean, they're
And
so fresh, they just came from down there,
they just, I always say that. You came from up there, so they know stuff. They just know stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
they do. And that's the thing is like we squeeze that out of them and we tell them like, "Oh, it's weird to say that you know this, or it's weird to say that you feel grandma in this room, or it's weird to like,
right. When it
but
should
it's
be
like, no,
encouraged.
it's not. Like you go for
No, it's
it."
not. It's
Like I
not
saw
weird at
somebody
all.
the other day talking about like they were talking about their little like niece or something, and it was somebody who's a conjure worker who works a lot with dice, and they were talking about that their little niece was starting to throw Legos in the way that they throw dice. And they were like, "You know what, baby? Like what do they say? Like these
I
are the
love
tools that are speaking to
it.
you, that are working for you. What do they say? Like,
Right.
what is it about this that
What
engages
is it
you?
about? Yeah, about the Legos. Oh my God.
Right.
Spirituality 101. Like even throwing Legos, if that works for you, if you get a message from that, if
Yeah.
you're able to improve yourself through that, like
Yeah. There's that guy from New
that's
York who
amazing.
does like good tarot readings with like these like Sesame Street like flashcards. You know? Like,
I literally am always telling people, I'm like, yo, you can use playing cards and get a
yes.
message.
It's one of the
Like,
oldest forms. You know,
oh
we
my
kind of
God,
made it
that's
more
long.
complicated now. Yeah, I was gonna say. So, like, I was gonna say. So, I watched some of your YouTube videos. Like,
Okay.
what deck are you working with right now? Because I could see you
So
shuffling.
yes, so right now I have the Soul's Journey.
Okay.
Okay. These are by far my favorite cards. Okay.
Mmm.
Because as we stated, the soul is indeed on a journey.
Mmm.
And it is just like never ending. And as soon as you get over one hurdle and you think that you're in the clear, here comes another. And you
Yeah.
have to be ready to use the tools and the everything that you learned from that previous lesson and to like move on. So I feel like these cards, they have something for everyone. You know how like some cards are just like too tarot or they're too like mystical. I feel like
Yeah.
the soul is like these cards can resonate. These are words that resonate with everyone. These are words that everyone knows. Like, see, what's popping out now is discipline. I
Mmm.
can accomplish what I set my mind to. Exactly. It was like we both
Right.
just decided, like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. So we did it. That's my first of all, that's word of the year. If you go to my Twitter, follow Real Brittany J. Word of the year was discipline. We're 6 months
Mmm.
in, okay? 6 months in, we got love and we got service. Oh my God. I
Ooh.
love it. I love it.
See, we were
I
just
love
talking about like
it.
love being expressed
Exactly.
through service and like how important.
Exactly.
I think this is one of the things that when we talk about like the relationship between Venus and Saturn and love and discipline, and how
And
love is
yes,
best when you do it every day and when you
yes,
make it a regular practice and when you ground
yes.
yourself in it.
When you make a, when you make it a regular practice to
Mm,
ground yourself in it.
yeah.
I had affirmed to myself 2 years ago that I am love.
Mm,
I am love. And
true.
you know what came along with that, Elena?
Hmm.
Every I learned so fast that love is like 20% the cute stuff and like
Yeah.
80% the hard, real, nasty work of
Yep.
unconditionally extending grace and forgiveness to people constantly. Like love
Yes.
is like literally 20% of like hugging and kissing and oh, like I love you. We're so happy. Like
Right. That's the tip of the
20%
iceberg. Yeah.
tip. Exactly.
Yeah.
You have a
Literally the
full
ice
iceberg.
cube and then the rest
Yeah.
of it.
It's under it. You can't see it. And the rest of the work is there. And it's just like you said, the discipline that is needed to love and to be of service.
Yeah.
Right? Because this card, the way they say love is I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things because that's all it is.
Yeah.
I commit
True.
to the practice. We just said it without even having to read the cards that we're practicing loving.
Yeah.
I love this. The cards are like in tune. It's like they've been sitting here listening and they're just like ready to talk.
Well,
It
that's the
says,
thing.
I
You
feel good
know,
when I
like they
help
feel
others.
the energy.
Yes. I feel good when I help others. I love that it's like this green and it's like yellow and it's just
Mmm.
very earthy.
Yeah.
Yes. That's definitely like I would say that's my Taurus card. I would say that's my
Mmm.
Taurus
Yeah.
card.
Oh, the green and the gold and the service.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Self-esteem. Okay, this is a good one. Oh, it wanted to fall too. So that means we really and then happiness at the bottom. I am aware that being happy means I'm on the right path. So we talked our shit about happiness, but when you
Mm-hmm.
are experiencing it, it is actively being aware that you're on the right path. Like, yo, I have
Yeah.
no reason to be miserable. I'm
Yeah.
on the right path.
You're right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, truly, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of played out to say chase your bliss, but like, truly, if you follow that, it will lead you down the right path. You know,
It
I mean, unless
definitely
it's like
will.
self destructive behavior, but even then, it's like if you're chasing something that you think makes you happy, you'll eventually kind of burn yourself out and then
Yeah.
finally get through to what really makes you
A
happy.
real happiness, exactly. And it's like
Yeah.
this is definitely a part of the journey. What we were talking about with that insecurity, it's like all about your
Mm.
personal self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
Like, but really, like break this up, like this self and this esteem, like it's just so
Mm.
important. Like the esteem that you have about yourself
Yeah.
is so important. It literally ties into the integrity that you practice about yourself. And it says, I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. So it's one of
Mm.
those things where it's a card where it's trying to instill some confidence in that esteem by
Yes.
affirming that, hey, I have gifts from my soul that benefit me and they help others. And I am
Yes.
happy to be of service and happy to love and happy to literally be committed to these things.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
happy about it. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Like, it doesn't it make you I mean, this is I think this is real Aquarius North Node stuff, is like being able to decenter yourself ultimately, I think, is the important thing, and being able to not deprioritize yourself in the way that you don't take care of yourself and that you don't nourish yourself, but that you're like, okay, I'm doing that and that's cool. And that's the foundation for everything else that I do. Like, I don't do all of this
Yeah,
just for me. Like, I
right.
make myself a better and healthier person. Like, a person in my chat was saying self betterment enables world bettering.
Literally, you uplift yourself, you uplift the world.
Right. You
That's how
know?
serious it is, guys. Like, you
Yes.
cannot, when people say make yourself better, it is not generic. You will
Yeah.
get better, and everything around you will get better. Like,
Yeah. And this is why you'd have to do it, in a community too,
yeah,
like, because if you're doing this with other people who are also coming up and who are also healing and who are also, deepening these connections, then you can support each other.
exactly. Which was a thing where I really feel that's where I really feel church came in for a lot of us back when.
Mm-hmm.
It's that corporate worship, it's that communal worship, it's that being able to, you know, reflect and being
Yeah.
able to, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just intermingle yourself with the
Yeah.
other, positive, like-minded thinking people until you realize that you're not maybe so like-minded, but it's still
Yeah.
the same idea applies to spirituality. The
Right.
same type of group and corporate worship and and communal support and corporate support needs to be implemented because
Yeah.
a lot of spiritualists are performative
Yeah.
and they're not about practicing. They're
That's
about
so true.
performing and they're not
This is
about
Neptune
practicing.
and Pisces, like spiritual scammers and impersonators
Right.
everywhere.
Everywhere. And it's like literally, but my thing is, it's like, why doesn't that wake everyone up to what's really going on? Like,
Yeah.
you can't scam something that's never was real. So you have to
Right.
acknowledge that there is some validity to what is now being taken to be a scam.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Because they're
So,
trying to dilute it so
yes,
that it's not as like taken as seriously.
meaningful and
Right.
taking it serious and sacred
Yeah.
when it is truly the most sacred thing you could do for your soul.
Truly.
When it is the most serious thing you could do for your soul, to self-assess your soul
Yeah.
is so powerful. To go within those parts that are ugly, disgusting, horrible, those things that when people bring it up, it triggers you. When you're able to look those things in the face and you don't see disgust. You don't see horrible. Instead, you see hurt. Instead, you
Yeah.
see understanding. Instead, you see growth.
Mm.
And you're like, I used to be like that. I'm not that. I used to think like that. I don't think like that anymore. I used to actually be that. I am not that anymore.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel the true core of spirituality is, that transformation, that metamorphosis, that growth, that it has to be like Elena said, it has to be the real work. Otherwise it's not gonna work.
Yeah, and it's just going to be
Not gonna work.
fake and you're going to be disappointed, and this is how people like bounce off of it. It's because they
Yeah,
only interact with really fake versions of this stuff and
exactly.
they accurately judge it as bad. They go, "Pih, this doesn't taste right." But then that's the only taste in their mouth that they have for this stuff,
Exactly. When you
you
really
know?
ate plastic food anyway. So it's
Yeah,
like,
plastic food, that's exactly what it is.
so I am just, this conversation was, this was like literally, this was nourishment to my soul. I felt like there were so many gems that were dropped for me. Like I learned so much. When I can
Mm,
learn, I
yeah.
am happy. When I can
Yeah.
learn, I am happy. Like behind happiness was imagination. And
Mm,
then behind that is loneliness in the reverse, y'all, because that is done. That is done.
mm,
That is
yeah.
done. Like use your imagination, visualize those moments. Like
Yeah.
yes,
It's
what was
so
we talking about?
powerful.
Nourish. We said imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Create those moments.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, the fifth house, 11th house acts is like everybody has a need to create and a need to share.
yes,
Like, all of
everyone.
these are part of you, you
It's
know?
part of your human experience. And the
Yeah.
more we move into this digital, robotic, like whatever is happening age, the far, the less and far removed from humanity we get, and we have to get back connected. Have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love is love is the way.
Love is the way. That is such a good way to put it. And I think, like this is where you start with all of this stuff. I think with spirituality, like, if you want to, like, for to me it's like, I think that the best place to start is to, I don't know, like, look at what you
You know,
love,
yes,
and like
you
look at what
know,
draws you there. Like, what would
yes,
you recommend to
yes.
people, like, if they're trying to start engaging with spirituality?
Okay,
Like, where's good places for people to start? Like, that visualization
yes,
exercise you mentioned, I think is really great. Like,
absolutely,
what else do you
absolutely.
recommend?
I recommend meditation. I
Mm-hmm.
recommend exercise. I recommend this right here. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one, but people don't recognize the power of breath work,
Yeah.
breathing.
Wow.
Begin because it's about that.
Aquarius, right? Like, we're
Yeah,
talking about that air.
yeah. It's about being that, it's about being self-aware within. So it's
Mm.
like I said, it's I would recommend meditation, exercise, so within, so without. I would recommend books. I recommend the Bible. If you, it's up to you. If you know, you can do self help books. You can do the Bible. Truth be told, and you can look this up. Most self help books are based on and have most information from Proverbs, the Bible, things like certain books. So it's like just skip
Right.
that and come to the source. But of course, that is entertaining. So self help books always, as I mentioned, The Art of Loving by Bell Hooks. Um, they're, yes, just start. You know what? Because books are touch and go, because books can be, interesting for one person and not necessarily interesting for the other. So I just say
Right.
books overall, and also reading in general. But they have things now where they can read the book to you, so there's no
Yeah.
excuse for anyone. So
Right. There's
just
plenty of YouTube videos, and I was
yes,
gonna say, I think anything by Bell Hooks, like,
yes,
as an
anything by
entry
Bell Hooks
point.
will
Right.
is a
Because
great
her
entry point.
spirit was so
Yes,
rich and so, like,
just
wow.
knowledgeable wisdom, like just
Yes.
pure oracle type wisdom.
Yeah.
So
Truly.
anything bell hooks, like Elena said, but just reading knowledge. I would say
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
I
Being
would just say
curious.
yes, staying open and being curious, being flexible, knowing that whatever you know, you don't even know it. Take out
Yeah.
whatever you even thought you knew. Like keep it for sure, but just be open. Leave so much space for things that you didn't know, because you're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be
Yeah.
new. I would say things like shrooms. Don't get away from things that you do to let loose and do to be open and relax. Like just don't abuse them.
Yeah.
Um,
Approach it with intention, you know?
exactly. Approach it with intention and purpose. I would
Yeah.
say nature. Nature is so good.
Yes.
Getting close to
So
animals,
healing.
hugging a tree, walking
Literally, people will
barefoot,
make fun of you for it, but just hugging a tree,
grounds
like,
you instantly.
just, gently. I mean,
Instantly.
this is going to sound crazy, but it's like, going up to a flower bush and, like, if you really practice with a plant, like, treating it like it's somebody that you love, like, if you, like,
Yes.
gently, like,
It
brush your hands
blooms.
against, like, a flower or a leaf, like the way that you would touch the face of somebody that you love, or cradling it like
Correctly.
the face of a child,
Yes.
like,
And you
your
just like treat
perspective
it like it's
shifts.
beautiful. I was gonna say yes, it shifts. It literally reacts to
Yeah.
you and how you speak to it, and how it's the same as when people grow marijuana and they say play music,
Right.
do this
Speak
around it,
lovingly to it, you
speak
know?
lovingly to it. Exactly. So it's just like do those things with yourself.
Yeah.
Like how we started it, let's end it like that. Speak those loving things on yourself, and you
Yeah.
will literally be, you will uplift and you will spread love around you. I would say love, meditation, exercise, breath work. I would say reading. I would
Mm-hmm.
say connection. Find
Yeah.
other like-minded people. Find
Yes, it's
people that
so
you can,
important.
yes, like you need a coven, you need a group,
Yeah.
you need people. So don't have anyone. I know people hurt you. They hurt us.
Yeah.
But you need people. You need relationship. Relationship is so important in priority of life. Like
So
it's
true.
so important. So get you some people that you love and trust. And I just feel like from there, your journey will literally take its course. It will literally start itself. But like Elena said, those are all good entry points. Meditating in general should
Mm.
really open up and gives you like a clear mind. Like she said,
Yeah.
YouTube is huge. If you want to start just watching readings on YouTube, I'm gonna be recording readings for the month of July. This just like motivated me right
Great.
here, right now, because
Love it.
it's needed. It's
Yeah.
literally needed. So
It
if you
is.
want
Like, because you've been sharing so many words tonight. Like,
to, thank
this has
you.
been so, like, nourishing. Like,
Yes,
wow. Like, and so
I
I really
feel
want
it.
people to follow your YouTube and, like, follow you on
Thank
Twitter. Like, are
you.
you on Instagram? Like,
Yes, so
that's where can
I'm
people
on
find you?
Instagram. I was gonna say I'm on Instagram, Jungle Goddess. It
Okay.
might be deactivated, but Twitter is Real Brittany J for sure.
Mm
And
hmm.
then on YouTube is Jungle Goddess.
Great. Yeah, and I watched
Yeah.
some of your readings from like January and I was like, you know what? Like this is really on point. Like,
Thank you.
and
It
you
was
can
so
feel
crazy.
it,
Yes, I was gonna say, I'm like, I remember like clockwork because you know what? I'm gonna be so honest with you, Elena.
Yeah.
Sometimes spirit even gets me where I'm like, okay, done. Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the messages are so clear, right? I
Yeah.
remember like clockwork for Aries. I said, I forgot what I said. My little brother is an Aries son,
Mhm.
and he's Caucasian. He is adopted. Right?
Mhm.
So that's my baby. I love him, right? And it's so funny. I'm doing my cards and I'm doing the reading, and I said, your mom wants to talk to you, Aries. Your mom said call her, or your mom is gonna your mom is gonna say you don't spend time with her or just
Mm.
something, right? And I
Right.
go downstairs and I'm like talking regular, and my other brother is like, yo, Jordan mom called me looking for him. And I'm like, yo, I'm done with myself. Like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And he's the Aries moon. He's the Aries
Wow.
moon, and then the other brother is the Aries sun. So I'm like, I'm
So
done.
literal.
I'm
Yeah.
done. He's like, yeah, his because what are the odds that his mom would call him looking for him? Like he doesn't have a phone. So it was
Right.
crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. It had me like, you know what? Too much energy. I'm done. But I promise I'm not gonna quit like that anymore. I'm no longer gonna be surprised by my own gifts.
Because that's the thing about inhabiting that space.
Yes,
Like, you clearly have the, like, talent and, like, you have the gift
thank
and, like, you have
you.
the presence. And people need this. Like, again, this has been so nourishing and so,
Thank
like, I don't think
you.
I've, like, done as much nodding and and, like, yeah, I almost wanted
Yes.
to stand up and just,
Thank
like,
you, Elena.
I mean, truly, really.
This means so much to me, truly, because like you said, there are so many different spaces. And so for us to be able to connect instantly, and then to be able to continue a conversation, continuously connecting, going from service to microbes to water to like us being water. Like it was just amazing. Like
Right,
it
just
was just,
everywhere, you know?
yes, I was gonna say, I'm like, and it's not like we lost anyone where we were. It was like we were at each spot. Like it was just amazing. I
Yeah.
am so thankful, so grateful. Thank you to all your followers, your supporters. Thank you to you for having me.
Well,
I
thank you, Brittany.
I was gonna say, I it's now like I have to have you on YouTube with me. I have to have something where we have a conversation for
That would
sure.
be awesome.
I would just like work with you to facilitate it because I know you have more technical experience for sure. But
But we'll
yes,
make it happen. And
we
that's one of
will
the
make it
things. It's
happen.
like if I can help other people to do more of this stuff, because like,
Yes,
come on, Pluto is going to go into Aquarius before we know it. Uranus
before
is going to
we
be in
know it.
Gemini before we know it. Like,
Exactly. And things are like you said, things will be moving fast, and they'll be on to the next. Like
yeah.
you know,
So,
this Age of Aquarius is definitely. But woo, Pisces is fighting to leave, aren't they? Age of Pisces is like, I ain't done yet. I'm coming back. Wait, one more thing. Okay, you can go now. And Aquarius is just cool. Aquarius is just like, I'm here whenever you ready.
yeah, just like I'm fine. It's, you know what? I'm just chilling because
I'm just
Aquarius is
chilling.
fixed. Saturn has always been here. Saturn is time. You know, how
Saturn
can
is
you be
time.
rushed when you're time itself? Like, you know that things will
Literally,
happen in their own time.
that was a word. How can you be rushed when your time is up? My boyfriend is an Aquarius. He's always like, I don't like to rush. I don't
Yeah.
like to rush.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yes, that is true, true Aquarius energy right there. True.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, we're
Thank you.
creeping up on. Oh, I just saw my live timer was 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds on the 22nd on a
Two.
Gemini Wednesday.
Oh,
So
this is blessed. This is
yeah,
blessed. It's gonna do what it's supposed to do. I just saw 222. I saw 2222 on a license plate when we were like just parked in the park chilling before I came
yeah,
home to set up. So that is a confirmation. That's like we
yep,
don't even need nothing else. Like
yeah.
it's just
That's it.
blessed.
The end. Roll
Like
credits. Yeah.
yeah, roll credit. Thank you, Elena. Oh, like I just God bless everyone. Bless everyone. Like I am just I'm humbled. I am floored. I am beyond grateful. This was an
Same.
amazing experience.
Well,
It was
thank
an
you,
honor
Brittany.
to speak with you. Definitely.
Like truly.
Yes.
It
And we
yeah,
will
and
be in
thank you to
touch,
all of
sir.
your I don't know if you've got it sounds like you had folks over there too, so hey to those folks over there and thank you for being here, you know?
Definitely. No, I don't have anyone over here, but I have my definitely my family outside the room. They know to be
Yeah.
like, they know when I'm working. It's like, okay, we're gonna be quiet. But they're the best. They're so supportive. I love them.
That's awesome. That's so necessary. Like
Yes.
spiritual, I think above all like support your spiritual community members, you
Yes.
know? Like we want to support
Exactly.
you, but we need your support too, you know?
Exactly.
So,
We want to support you, but we need your support too.
yeah.
Exactly. That's why when you were like, go look, I'm like, okay, yes. I went and I looked at your video. I'm like, oh, she is crafting while she's doing it. Like, it was so cool. I love it. I was gonna say that's that Aries moon where she's so multidimensional. She's able to do like multiple things at once and get them done. It's a
Yeah,
gift.
Mercury and Gemini, sextile Aries, Moon and Mars. Like, I
Mercury and
have to be
Virgo.
going.
So
Yeah.
we're both exaltees. We know what's up.
Yep.
Yes,
So,
we're
all
here.
right. Well, before
Okay.
I chug off on another long Mercury train of thought, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. But,
Okay.
this has been a real pleasure. Everybody, again, please go check out Brittany, Real Brittany J on Twitter,
Yes.
Jungle Goddess on Instagram, Jungle Goddess Spirituality on YouTube.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you.
like I've been Bella Beluga. You'll see me again at some point,
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, I hope everybody has an awesome night. Brittany, I really hope that you have a
Definitely.
blessed night,
You as
and I
well.
will absolutely talk to you again soon.
Definitely. Definitely talk again soon. Thank you, baby.
So, all right. Well, yeah,
Okay.
everybody have a good night, and
Everybody have a
bye for
good
now.
night.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye.